morning, my name is Kirsty Dignam and I'm here to look at the energies for this week with today's Monday's Musings. And this was actually going to be a practice run, so yeah, I hope it's working okay, and I hope that you can hear me okay and that the background music isn't making too much noise. And there's something in that today. When I was listening back to last week's video, I tend not to watch them back too often, but when I was listening back to last week's video, hang on, why do I need to add that? Why do I need to add that I don't watch myself often? That's interesting energy, isn't it? So let's feel into that. There can almost be a shame and a guilt of watching ourselves, of being proud of what we do this week, really sensing into that, but also learning from what we witness in our own perception of who we are. So backtrack. Watching back last week's video, for whatever reason, there was a real loud humming in the background, a real distraction in the noise. And today when I tuned into the microphone, I've looked up all the settings. I've wanted this recording to be very clear, for my voice to be very clear. When I looked into all the settings on the microphone, there was still a static energy in the background, and sometimes, particularly this week, we may find that no matter how clear we try to be, no matter how direct we try to be, there's going to be potential in the background that wants to be heard as well. So we do have a say in that, and today I've decided that mine is going to be music, which is what you can actually hear in the background. Okay, so what are we going to do with the fact that we have a say? Well, like I say, this one was going to be a practice run. There comes a time where we just need to show up and be with whatever is occurring in the best way that we can. And this week that's really going to come to the surface so that we can see that actually we've always been good enough as we are in that moment. Why? When we try and overcome the static, when we try and overcome the disruptions, the noise, I'm going to say reasoning, not excuses, but the reasons, or the reason in to not being present or not being fully embodied in whatever is occurring, nothing changes. We don't actually do what it is we set our mind to do. So with that in mind, today I feel really light. We have that Libra full moon, and on the one hand it's been quite heavy, it's been very analytical, it's been very recognizing old stories, particularly with relationships with ourselves and what we believe we're here to do. So there may be a lot of emphasis of whether or not we want to stay in the profession, in the area that we're in, because of other people's reactions, and that is on the one side. Okay, on the other, I can hear the one show on the one show, and I really sense that today. I've never known a time where we've been more at the point of change and so much has shifted, but also so in the past in regards to our behaviours and our reactions. Walking that knife's edge, that middle ground of it all this week is going to be pivotal as we really feel into that eclipse Libra energy, that need to balance, or at least the belief that we need to balance. It's okay to swing from one to the other. It's that gives us balance, and until we can do that, we can't appreciate what it is we're doing and what it is we're trying to bring in. So an example, sometimes I have real fatty food that is really awful for my body and I feel like shit afterwards, and then I really, really appreciate the more healthier options, and that can really put me back on track. That can really, sometimes falling off the bandwagon is what we need in order to get back onto it and see where we're going. And it may not be for everyone, but there may be people, particularly around us, that are going through this process, holding space not for them but for us through that as witnesses. How often do we wobble when we see other people wobbling? Can we sit back? Can we observe? Can we have patience, compassion, and in that a inbuilt resilience that is now being asked of us? We can pick the background noise that we choose to focus on. We can pick the sound that we are trying to transmit to others. Okay, and so can others, and really looking at the impact that that has on us and our own voice and how clear we are being. On the other side of this energy, on the other side of this eclipse, on the other side of this moon, I'm very aware we have the solar eclipse in April. April for me is going to be a big one, and there is some energy building. In particular, I'm going to put it out there with cannabis, with CBD, with dragons, with the ley lines and with the earth. I'm actually going to a dragon workshop in Avebury on 4/20, which is known as the almost the secret day of cannabis and awareness of the plant medicine and the right to choose. And there's a real energy rising there for me to hold space in regards to having our own choice when it comes to whatever we put into our body, and plant medicine and the earth and the ley lines and the dragons. And I'm not quite sure what that will bring about, but I know that in Avebury, after the solar eclipse, I need to be there and work with these energies. So what's on the other side of this option, the other side of this full moon, the other side of the solar eclipse, which will pair with this energy, what's on the other side is our perspective, our perception, our choice here, what it is we're going to consume, what it is we're going to bring into our body, our own thoughts included. Okay, so really feeling into that Libra energy, really feeling into the balance and the scales of our heart and the wisdom of Maat, the Egyptian goddess, keeping our heart light. And that I can actually sense if we can walk the middle ground, if we can be aware that we can pick the transmission, the energy that we wish to give out. And if we are struggling with that, if we are being impacted with that from others, it is a call to adventure. It is a call to investigate, an invitation, if you will, to look at how well we can stand in our energy. Things are going to become more simplified as the months go on, because we do have the Strength card, but we also have Justice card energy here, because that was the original position. Moreover, there is a real longing to simplify that connection to our own spirituality, to recognize that the love we have for life is also the love that we have for our spiritual sense, that we don't have to pick between spirituality and physical embodiment, that they are one and the same. And in order to do that, a lot of the tools that we have once used may be taken to one side. A lot of the beliefs that we have once relied on may be wobbled, or we may need to be more discerning with them as we look at how well they help us remain in the energy we are here to portray, to speak, to communicate in our actions. We can all be at peace when there's peaceful times. It's when the world feels at chaos, that's when our true ability to stand in what we feel is going to come to the forefront. That's not to say that anger isn't a valid emotion, or frustration, or all of these are very valid. Being present in them, looking at how we transmit them, is going to be key in the next few weeks, months, I want to say years as well, potentially, for us on this journey. So on the other side of that is the ability to lighten things up, is the ability to really feel into what it is we are here to say and get on with it. So I'm going to do that with this week's energy reading through the tarot. Okay, what I will say is, as these months are going on, an example for myself, there's a potential I may be moving into a caravan, which means a lot of everything I have, my altars, all my spaces, all of it are going to be packed away, are going to be reabsorbed into me, so that I become that walking prayer, so that I become that altar, so that I become that sacred space. And that is really going to be asked of us all, to really embody our truth. That is the Libra full moon. That is the solar eclipse, to really look at where our light is being diminished from the darkness of our emotions, and how we can flip that and use what we are feeling to ensure that what we are transmitting portrays our truth in all circumstances. And that starts with us, yeah? That starts with, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling this. Yeah, really going into that. Okay, so I am just going to read the energies for the week. Having some lightness, having some humour with ourselves, what it is we're actually expecting of ourselves as a species, how we expect peace in times of turmoil, and actually how vast that can be, and how there's a word and I can't even think of the word now, how unrealistic that can be, and then we can actually embrace the feelings that we are having. The peace starts from within. So if we have peace with what we are feeling, then that will start to radiate out. Okay, we know this, but it's going to come through on another level, in another way, on another level. There are going to be those that will travel, that will go to different areas, different circles, different places, different people. And there's a real emphasis here to travel light, to recognise that you're what is being asked to go to these energies. Not what you can offer, not the tools that you bring, but you. One of the things I'm going to have to use before I move, because there won't be space, is everything I use in Dispatcher in a prayer bundle. And I really felt into that the other day, and I wasn't too keen on the idea. And then I realised that I can do it with a leaf. Yeah, that we can do ceremony with a leaf, that we can breathe and pause and be present and have instant healing, okay, from harmony. And it's that we are actually being promised this week, if we can just hone into where we're at. What's going on for us? What do we need? What are we opening ourselves up to and for? Okay. Energies this week and how to best navigate them. So we do have the moon at the bottom of the pack, and I'm not surprised to see that with that music in the background as well. I felt a real emotional tiredness, but a lovely emotional tiredness, like waves of the ocean rushing over me, sands of time just releasing now and just flowing, a deeper flow that is coming to the surface, particularly this week, initiated by that full moon in Libra. And that can feel as if we're coming away from what we've known. That can feel as if I was out walking my dog today, and all of a sudden right in my coccyx and then down my hips and down my legs there was a real anchoring energy right into my feet. I could just about walk, and when I did, and I've noticed that my hips have been quite sore actually, and my back, because they've been very heavy. And I noticed as I was walking, I slowed right down, and in that I feel, when we slow that energy down, almost a real, it's a hot energy. There's a heat rising, there's a flame rising, there's a light rising, there's a power rising, but slowing right down in order to receive it from the earth up this week. To clear those emotions, or to look at why we feel we may need to clear the emotions. You know, when we slow everything down, we can watch, we can observe, we can be at peace with whatever we're feeling, for the sounds that it brings and the transmissions that it emits. Okay. No, I'm really being lulled into that music in the background. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, overall. So there was a couple of times when pulling the cards in this pack that I felt like, so it was the Thursday and the Sunday, I felt like two cards belonged to that day, but it was a temptation to amalgamate things that actually didn't belong together. And that's when my back feels like it's hurting, like there's a lot that has been carried together that didn't belong together. Looking out on the Thursday, taking time to go within and really feel into what it is we are planting, what it is we actually want to seed, what it is we actually want to manifest on the Thursday, rather than bringing the Thursday and Friday together, rather than trying to make something happen when it's time to pause and be. It's essential to feel into where we are. It's essential to acknowledge what is going on before we bring forth what it is we think we need. There's a real difference between what we think we need and what we actually need. We call it a difference between what we need and what we want, but actually it's just really feeling in on the Thursday and the Friday, taking time to almost separate those two parts of that week. The same with the Sunday and overall. And on the Sunday we have the Page of Wands, so again it's that new beginning. So separating the new beginnings into every day this week. How can I see this differently? So the energy overall that I wanted to bring in with the Sunday, with the new beginnings, is that balance. I'm very aware there's I'm really looking forward to it actually, because some energy that has been coming through, and I've noticed it with a lot of people. I've just finished watching Merlin for the third or fourth time as many of you know, and I've also just finished traveling with a dragon tarot deck, because there's that energy coming in, the Arthurian energy coming in. It has been since the beginning of the year, probably September last year actually, and a real calling again to go to Merlin's cave, which I will be doing by the end of the year. I've put it out there, but that has been ongoing for the last 4 or 5 years for me, to do some kind of womb rites or healing. in Merlin's cave in Tintagel. The other energy that is coming in, my mind has gone blank. Moses. Moses, my mind just went blank. And there's something in that, allowing our mind to go blank, because when we do, so much comes in. You know, it's that parting of the emotional and the spiritual stream here to allow that extra bit to come in. So it's not about just connecting, and it's not about just connecting. It's about what are we going to do with that? How are we going to bridge the differences between spirituality and our emotions this week by recognizing they're one and the same. So the energy overall between new beginnings and the whole emphasis throughout the next 7 days is balance. And I just love that card because it is as above, so below. But it is the abundance that comes from recognizing our spiritual love is the same as our physical love. Normally, as a human species, we separate these things. You know, I go back to the falling off the bandwagon analogy, when we think we've done something wrong, or we could have behaved better, or oh God, we've had that cream cake when we're on a diet, or whatever it may be, that cigarette when we've given up smoking. If we look at that and think, oh, I've failed, we stop the cycle. It's a part of the cycle. Okay, recognizing the bridge behind it, remembering why we want to do it. And sometimes we need to be reminded why we do what we do. And sometimes that trigger, that glimmer, that invitation isn't always comfortable. But it gives us the choice of stepping away because we're not ready to stand up and hold this light, or stepping forward and recognizing how much it is needed. And we're really being faced with that this week, and it's that that's going to bring the new beginnings. And there's no judgment there, although there is. On Monday it is judgment card, but the judgment is coming from the background noise. I felt really tempted with that song earlier as I pulled the judgment card to get really caught up in what was going on behind me, in that background noise, to almost be lost in the waves of music and sounds of others. We can listen to the past. We can listen to our environment. We can listen to everything that is going on and be aware of it. But we must remember our own sound and our own judgments on that, and our own judgments on what is going on around us also. It's that that's going to restore balance. So going back to Moses, a real energy that's been coming through for some time around Moses. And I don't know much about the Bible. I only know what is given and what comes through, and the screen flash. So apparently maybe I'm not being 100% accurate there. I don't consciously know much about the Bible. But there's a program out called Moses, and it's coming out on Wednesday. And I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to the emphasis of parting our emotional wisdom, or sharing our emotional wisdom and helping others to cross. And it's going to come through differently for everyone. This energy is going to come through differently for everyone, but it is, for me personally, about that intuitive insight now. Okay, bringing it back, because there's more for that. And again, that's recognizing the need to go within to get the next part, the need to pause and balance and allow that conversation to be heard for the next part to come in, for that new beginning. And it is that give and take, that flow this week. I keep doing this movement. I have to show you the judgment card. Or do I? Do I have to show you the judgment? Interesting. Do we need to point out where people are being judgmental, or is that a judgment on our own? And the thing with judgment, what I love with judgment, is the same energy of justice, the same energy of truth. You know, when people say it's not the truth, it could be that person's truth. It may not be the whole truth, but it is a version of the truth, just like judgment. And judgment can be a real rabbit hole that we can find ourselves in, particularly if we believe we don't have any, or if we have guilt or shame around the judgments that we do have. I hear those without sin. Yeah, you know, and again, releasing all of that, allowing ourselves to be free, ourselves and each other, by acknowledging, particularly on the Monday, that we're all doing the best that we can. We're all doing the best that we can. And yes, okay, it may not be where we would like to see the world. We may not be on our journey at the point where we would like to see ourselves at, but it's still a valid part of it. And just releasing that fucking pressure really feels like key this week, so that we're not acting from it, so that we're not holding it all in, you know, with our fists up, or letting it go, giving it over, if it's all a bit too much. And that's that balance again here, yeah? If it's all a bit too much, then give it over. Ask for help. One of the things I've noticed over the last few weeks is my own allowing myself to stress, allowing myself to feel the transformative power of stress in the body when in balance, allowing myself to be very aware of what is going on so that I can not ignore it, not meditate it away, not fix it, not heal it, feel it, and then seek the answers as a result through my own emotions. And again, it's that intuitive wisdom that is trying to come through here for the communication that it is with our higher self. On the Tuesday, we have the King of Wands, and I almost feel like I'm drawing a blank. And on the Tuesday, when things do feel a little bit uncertain, relaxed, playful, it is an opportunity here to recognize that it doesn't mean there isn't strength there. Doesn't mean there isn't divinity there. Doesn't mean that that energy isn't being guided by the highest good. And that can be in the things that may frustrate us as well. It's up to us to take a stand where we are and to really feel into the light that we bring. And this card, it's the first time I've ever seen it actually. Yes, we have the crown, and I will acknowledge the crown. I will acknowledge there is a lot going on for the royal family, and there is a lot going on with our own sovereignty as well. I have written a blog that has a lot of that in without me even realising. And this week it feels really important to acknowledge the parts that we're being asked to carry in regards to our own behaviour, how royal we are being, how sovereign we are being. So in this card, I'm bringing it closer to the screen because you can see the ripples that are coming out from that, the circles that are coming around that energy with the crown. Looking at how our behaviour, how our own light ripples out. And it is mainly around the head, and it's mainly around the third eye, and it's mainly around the throat, the transmission. Yes. So looking at this energy, I do feel tired. I feel tired with saying the same things. I feel tired with feeling as if I'm reading the same energies, or, you know, wondering what the point of it may be. And then I look into the circles around the crown, the circles around the masculine, and I see another chakra being born. A huge chakra being born, actually, that almost encompasses the crown chakra, the third eye, the throat, and the higher heart. It's going to be birthed easier by letting go of the control. I feel that in my solar plexus, by letting go of the assumptions and the expectations of how we think we should be, or how our environment should be. Having patience, having compassion, having a bit of joy, feeling into where we're at, and transmitting that leadership that we hope to see from others. On the Tuesday, there is a shift in leadership. There is a shift. It's not control. It's not control. There is a shift in who or what people will start to follow. Okay, so it could be a shift in who will reign. Okay, and I'm just going to leave it at that because I'm not a fan for myself of going into particular subjects, because I do feel we all have a responsibility with whatever is going on in the world. And on the Wednesday, that is what we're being encouraged to look at. How all these things trigger us to grow, glimmer us to strive for something different. We have the Five of Wands, and in this deck in particular, I love this because we have a choice. We can either be crushed by things that leave us frustrating, or we can use them as firewood. Excuse me. We can use them as motivation. And on the Wednesday, that's really going to be key. key. It's all about finding our own light. It's all about recognizing what we bring to the table. It's all about seeing how we can bridge what is going on, and only from there will we see how other people are involved in it as well. Even the parts we might not be keen on, even the parts that may have felt as if it was holding us back or the world back or blah 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 blah. Yeah, if we can recognise there's a place for everything and everyone, then that light can return a lot easier. Okay, on the Thursday we have a major arcana. We have one at the beginning of the week, halfway through the week, and overall. And on the Thursday we are being encouraged to really feel into that light within us. We found it. Just because we found it doesn't mean we have to go out there screaming that this is the way, our way, or the highway on the Thursday. What we're actually being encouraged to do is take time out. This week has been intense. It really has been intense, and there has been a lot of up and down emotions. There's been a lot of emotional endurance. Or this week will be intense. I'm talking about it past tense now. So this too will pass on Thursday. This too will pass. Taking time, taking stock, being with yourself. Self-care on the Thursday is really quite pivotal before we try and bring in anything new. Restoring the balance within us is going to be key. It's interesting because I would say it's inner child related. Well, I have just said that, right? But I'm feeling a reluctance there. I'm feeling a reluctance there to almost blame the inner child. I'm feeling a reluctance there to make it all about our inner child. Sometimes our adult self isn't mature either. Sometimes our adult self, or we can believe that people are being childish, or we can believe that the childlike energy is somehow backwards. Feeling into that on the Thursday and recognising the power of innocence, not ignorance, innocence. There is a difference, being aware of what is going on, but choosing to see the light in others. Thursday, ourselves included, is going to be the real turning point from now until September, actually, because on the Friday that's when we're given a new beginning. On the Friday, that's where we see it's always been in our hands. And that can be a real, a bit of a discomfort. That can really uproot us. Yeah? That can really uproot us. And here you can see that the new potential is in our hands, but it hasn't got roots at the moment. I hear that song, I have no roots in my home, and I can really take that on board. It hasn't got roots, okay? It is being uprooted, but it doesn't mean that it's not growing. It doesn't mean that the potential isn't there. It's just at the very beginning stages, and really sensing into that. Really sensing into what could come from steps that are now put into place on Friday, and it's Good Friday. Yeah, making the difference between being pious and good, and really restoring what is now needed for you in order to prevent you becoming... Well, there's a big difference between a martyr and enlightenment on the Friday. What is your growth rooted in on the Friday? What are these changes rooted in? Where are they coming from? When we want the world to change, where is that coming from? Going back again to the beginning of the week with judgment, and that's where I really feel quite a heaviness in my chest, and it's the same music. It's the same music that was at the beginning of the reading. I recognise it. Recognising that. Recognising where the patterns are, recognising, and that is where you're going to need to take time out. Recognising, or time in, knowing that it doesn't have to be time out. We don't have to go away from the world, but time in is going to be important, because we're going to be able then to recognise the noises in the background that are drawing us in, seducing us, and acknowledging the grief that has on our chest. Acknowledging how that can feel when we want things to change. Where is that coming from? What judgment, and how heavy has that made us feel in our heart? On the Saturday, it is time to be with that. It is time to feel into any, I'm going to say it, damage that has been done by ourselves as well, and expressing it, giving it a voice, holding space for it. Is the only way we're going to repair this. Acknowledging it for what it is. Separation from who we are. Distraction from what it is we're here to do. part of the process so that we can then heal and become, cliche as it sounds, the medicine that we seek and can therefore gift to others. But it comes back to the self first. If we are wobbling for every reason, interesting, if we are wobbling for whatever reason, if we are uncertain, loving that space, giving that space love for the acknowledgement that it's bringing up, we may need time out. We may be feeling frustrated with ourselves. We may be having judgments on something. We may be separate from our sacred heart on the Saturday, really feeling into that. I can hear in the background of that music flames, that transformation that is available, because on the Sunday we have the Page of Wands. I was going to say Page of Swords. And that's where I realise it doesn't matter how quickly you get to something. It doesn't matter how clear and direct you are. It takes as long as it takes. And the Page of Wands, and that brings an ache in my shoulder and in my back. And that may be where we need to move. Yeah, that may be where we need to move and just let go. Hand it over. Know that we've done the best that we can do. It's going to take as long as it's going to take. We're going to take as long as we're going to take to get wherever it is we need to be. Enjoying the process. Yes, new beginnings. Yes, new starts. Yes, new connections. But sparks of life. Creativity. If we're wobbling, if you're wobbling, what do you need in order to bring back that joy to what it is you do, or the relationships you're in, or the person that you are? What do you need now? And if you're not sure, send it up. Ask. Be open to something different perhaps. And as I say, overall we have the Moon card, but we also, or underneath, we have underneath it all, we have this Moon. Okay, underneath it all. And that's not to say, I blame Libra, or I blame the full moon, but acknowledging that this was going to happen. This was all part of it. You know, the moon, the eclipse. It's one thing to know about things, and another to then be surprised when it comes up. It's like, okay, but it's a full moon eclipse in Libra. Yeah, it's to do with our own truth. It's to do with our ability to witness, to hold space, to feel into that intuitive wisdom. It's to do with justice, our own included. It's to do with standing and holding court, keeping our heart light, restoring the balance in ourselves as well. Okay, it's to do with fairness that starts from within. It was coming, and there's an eclipse, and we were going to be shown where that was being shadowed. And it was an emotional moon, so it was going to be with our emotions. So anything that's bringing that up this week is as a result of that. We knew that. We knew that from our bodies. So this week, really feeling into your body, what it needs from you is going to be key. It's going to be the balance, and it's going to be in the heart space, and it's going to be the acknowledgement that we often feel uprooted from who we are. We often feel in conflict with the light that we bring. We often question our own sovereignty from a place of judgment because we have disconnected from that heart space. It is about coming back to the heart, and there can be pain there. There is a lot of pain there for a lot of us in this world. And it doesn't mean that it's not real, and it doesn't mean that we don't acknowledge it, but we hold space for it. We feel it. We allow ourselves to go through the process of that so that we can transmit whatever it is we now need into our heart space and in the heart space of others. Okay. Overall, we have 1, 2. I'm going to pick that one underneath it. Yeah. So by focusing on what's underneath it all this week, we do get an extra bonus. An extra 2. Oh, okay, so you could just keep going. Focusing what's underneath it all this week is going to be key, because by doing that, by focusing on the moon, by focusing on what's real, by focusing on what our truth is and the illusion of our environment and the effect that that has on our emotions, by finding our own emotional voice this week and what's underneath it, we do get an extra 3 major arcanas, which is the Hierophant, Temperance and Death or Rebirth, the Keeper of the Sacred. There's a real transition here occurring, a real initiation here, in regards to leadership, in regards to reigning, in regards to how sovereign we are being and who the next person in line will be. And that could be in your family situation, that can be in your relationships, particularly those give or take. It may be your turn to step up to the mark, it may be your turn to step back, but there's a real shift of polarity occurring this week between, and it will be up until the solar eclipse, because we have Temperance here, yeah, and she's holding the sun, or he is holding the sun and moon here. It will be up until the solar eclipse. There's a great opportunity to be reborn through the things that we have learned, rather than dictate what others should be doing, focusing that back on ourselves. However, I've just done that, so I will be taking my own advice. Do whatever you feel you need to do. Remember, you are the keeper of your own sacred, so taking care of your body here is going to be key, and taking care of any wisdom that you have gained, becoming that transmission. So overall, that would leave us with 6, and it's that that's going to gift the harmony, and it's that from there that any judgment will be released with ease and grace. But it will be work, it will be physical work, it will be about the body, because we have the 8 of Pentacles underneath. It is now about mastering our connection to our own spirituality through what we do and how we offer that out into the world. Yeah, not burning ourselves at both ends, not overthinking things, recognizing our own stages and our own cycles, being okay if we want to step back from what's going on, being supported and knowing that we're supported if it's our time to step forward, really recognizing where we are on our own spiritual evolution and our own connection and our own cycle, so that when we do share, we do it from a place again of sovereignty, of leadership, of change, of potential. That doesn't mean that doesn't come from a broken heart, so we can share something that may upset somebody, or we may share from a place of pain, and that can shift it as well. So again, coming back to that, recognizing we are right where we need to be. It may be uncomfortable, but we are right where we need to be right now. Okay, so 1, 2, less is more. That's what I hear. We have 3 wand cards, 1 sword card, and 2 pentacle cards. Yes, well, let's put them in order, and that feels important. There is some post-trauma here coming to light, and it's all kind of coming from there. It's coming from the 3 of Swords. That came first. The pain came first, recognizing that when we act, it's coming from that pain. That pain has come first. So what does that heart need, that broken heart need? What does that separation from that heart need? It needs balance. It feels uprooted, so it needs balance. So we have that in the physical body, the 1 or Ace and 2 of Pentacles. That new beginning is going to come from us reconnecting physically back to our own spiritual potential, embodying it, practicing what we preach, becoming the transmission, letting life itself become the spiritual journey that it is. Because then any change, any creativity, any birth comes through the wands. It comes through our fire, it comes through our ambition and our passion. It comes through the new beginnings that are available if we don't get consumed by this, but work alongside it. And by it, I mean the change that is necessary, the emotions that we are feeling, the frustration, the passion, the everything that's going on, the music of life. If we can listen and know our song here, if we can really feel into the light that is being asked of us to take forward, yeah, this week we could potentially bring many things to a close. This reading included, which I'm going to do with 1 card. I was thinking, okay, so how can I move it forward with 1 card? And my eyes were drawn to a scarf that I took to a music festival with Narca and Medicine for the People. Incredible singer that went through an awful lot within the woke community and was almost cancelled. Has his own story, and I have no right to speak of that. Just like everybody else, I have no idea of the whole ins and outs. But I enjoy his music. I don't see him as a leader. I enjoy his music and I recognise him for what he is, because I'm my own leader and he is a singer that I like to listen to. And that is where we are almost being guided to separate ourselves from following people, following our own truth and recognizing what people bring in. So if it's a singer that you enjoy their music. Doesn't mean that you follow their path. Okay, really recognizing that this week. If it's people in the spotlight that you enjoy them for what you enjoy them for. Okay, they're not here to be you, you're not here to be them. But anyway, I was looking up to the scarf that I took to this concert, and I have it almost as a flag now, the flag that I fly, and it has, I can't pronounce the word, but translated it means thank you. And when I was feeling into how we can move forward this week, it is with gratitude, not toxic gratitude, but genuine gratitude for what is being brought to light here in regards to our own strength, our own divine connection, our own sovereignty, our own feminine wisdom, and how we're going to take that forward. There's darkness and light in everything. If it was all light, it wouldn't work, and if it was all dark, it wouldn't work. It's about how we ride both of them emotionally. Yeah, how we manage to navigate the intuitive path that's in front of us. Have the most incredible week. Don't separate yourself from who you are, and don't expect that of others. Take care, and I'll see you soon.